Welcome and thank you so much for clicking on my video. In today's video, we are going to be discussing some technical analysis. Even though a lot of things have not necessarily changed from our analysis from the previous day, I wanted to get you guys the daily expected moves and talk about some interesting things that we do see there out there that we did discuss during the live show today. So for the SPY, you will have a point of 624.59 to the upside. You will wow, if I could talk. You will have this point of 616.21 to the downside for tomorrow. So you have your daily expected moves here in red. This is your 68% zone for tomorrow. And notice that today we were not able to go tag the level where those really big sellers potentially could be lurking. So we still have the opportunity potentially to get there. If you want a brief summary here, we are looking for us to retest, but are we flagging? Are we going to fail this? And as of right now, your MACD is overall suggesting it is turned down in negative territory. So you would lean towards downside until something does change. If you do see this curl up, you are plenty close to that center line to see a positive move, and that is where you would look for that 624.59. But something to consider here is volatility is still confirmed on the daily chart. We are noticing that we're getting that pullback we suggested to pay attention to, just like we did over here, just like we did over in these areas. And the reason that we think that volatility is coming in is because we do have 2-hour divergences. Now, these things can fail. The 2-hour is turning down. You need the 2-hour to whip back up in order to see this as a higher low to go make more upside for volatility, which could mean some more downside for the SPY. But you do have daily triple divergence across the way here. So this is very likely to be topping out this week, even if we want to leak out some time, even if we want to go make a new high and things like that. We'll keep an eye on things, but it is very, very likely that we are going to see a daily pullback, maybe even down to the monthly expected move of 593.45 for the SPY, considering what volatility has shaped up. In a moment, we're going to go talk about JP Morgan, but for now, we're going to talk about the Qs. The Qs for the daily expected moves for tomorrow, you will see. And let me just double check these. I had to do them a little bit quickly. We have family in town. We have 557.02 to the upside, 547.66 to the downside. Notice that we are getting closer and closer to that weekly expected move. Is this some kind of ABC to go down to lower levels? Because for the Qs, we really see that 2-hour divergence very plainly. So if you want a little bit deeper into this, maybe look at yesterday's video, but nothing has really changed here, and everything is kind of going to plan as it stands as far as how volatility is behaving. So this is something interesting, and we're in a window here where we can see some dramatic weakness. If we want to violate these signals, the 2-hour chart has to bounce off of the 5, and we have to see some kind of squeeze and wipe out these divergence points. If we go set up another one and just fall, that could just be one more trap. So we'll be paying attention to that. But for the Qs, we just noticed that the structure to head down would be we break that weekly expected move, we bounce up, and we see that left head and right shoulder. So not a lot of things have changed, but hopefully you enjoy these daily expected moves for tomorrow. You will click around and a bunch of stocks are doing a bunch of things. We know that we were paying attention to Tesla. The 30-minute divergence is overall trying to happen here, but we were suggesting watch for this to actually break out of this zone here. Now, this zone is not one that it's not like a block that we normally pay attention to. This is more on the line of price action, not necessarily technical analysis itself. But one thing to pay attention to is if we see a rejection, and you have, as of right now, with the RSI and the MACD, or I'm sorry, and the price action, you have overall rejected from below the center here. You can reject from any level in here, but the lower, the worse. So we do look like we have the opportunity to maybe break these levels, which would be interesting because you have a weekly expected move. You have 30-minute divergence across these lows on the MACD, on the RSI, suggesting that Tesla can get a good 2-hour move to the upside. So if this is a higher low in some way, is this just a higher low to go and take care of this gap or even break out of the zone? We are looking for a 2-hour move to the upside, and it would be not a very good thing to see a 32% moment for Tesla as it is retesting once again right on that weekly expected move. Another one that we were paying attention to was Amazon. Amazon was able to confirm the divergence here as of right now. How would we like to behave going forward for Amazon? Well, Amazon might want to see some kind of bounce from this type of level to actually reject from those sellers one more time to give the good structure to head down. If you weren't aware, Amazon does have a bunch of divergence here on the daily scale as well. So if the daily does pull down, you would look for those deeper prices, maybe even down towards this gap fill around 200, or even all the way down towards 188 at this point. So this will be an interesting time to pay attention. You are getting some confirmations as of right now. Very, very good stuff. NVIDIA not giving you the confirmation for NVIDIA, but something that we were watching here was, do we set up a 30-minute divergence? Now, this is pointed in the upward direction, and you don't have necessarily 30-minute divergence yet, but if you get some kind of spike up here and that's able to roll and lose that 5, we can start some kind of reversal here. NVIDIA really wants to pull back on the daily scale down to a price point of 143.44, but I think it could get all the way down to 133 if we're able to see the signals confirm here for NVIDIA. The last thing I really just wanted to talk about here was JP Morgan, right? This is something that we were overall discussing. We even already had it drawn up for you. We actually discussed this during the live show, and we talked about something very good here, and I think it's a good learning chance for if you are interested in, like, hey, when a signal plays out and you hit a weekly expected move, how do you overall behave? Well, if I have a shorter amount of time, let's say I said, okay, this 2-hour divergence confirmed. We see the price action confirming below the 9 on the 2-hour. We do see that cross down on the MACD and RSI all at the same time. So it's a go, go, go. If the 30-minute whips back up, that's my plan for if it goes wrong. But it didn't go wrong. Instead, it went down to the weekly expected move. If I have options for, say, the very near term, let's say this Friday, or maybe even next Friday, a big decision here would be, do I want to take profit because I don't have much time? Or if I have a little bit more time, say 2 weeks or more, do I want to take some profit at that weekly expected move as it's a good area to bounce and then leave some runners? And as of right now, those runners are overall producing, but these are some of the things that we talk about during the live show. So please come and join us. Something that I think could happen here is we are going to set up this kind of look. It is very nice for us to break this. We have a 68% chance to bounce by Friday close up above these type of levels in here towards 287. So do we create some kind of right shoulder to go back into this gap where those sellers really clamp down on things to give you that right shoulder that could have been? I think this would be a very interesting one. But not a lot has changed so far. Volatility is curled down on the 2-hour, so we need that to whip back up. If that wants to completely collapse, then we would say that we have the opportunity to continue. And someone did mention during the live show Vixpiration and OpEx, and I think that's perfectly fine to do so. It's just we have confirmed some major signals here. So if we are going to leak this out into, say, Vixpiration or OpEx, then that would be a very, very interesting thing. It is very, very interesting to confirm a triple divergence for volatility and then say just break down for volatility. So I am still keeping my serious risk hat on. I am still very much so this guy going, is this really going to be the next squeeze, or is this just the pullback to convince you the next squeeze is coming and the 2 hours about to just whip back up for volatility? So be on guard out there, and that is why we give you daily expected moves. So I'm going to read those off one more time for the SPY: 624.59 to the upside, 616.21 to the downside. If you want the rest of the weekly expected moves for the stocks that we do cover on this channel, down here on the right side of your screen, all of these stocks, including JP Morgan, the one that just saw something interesting, you can join Patreon. The Patreon link is down in the description. It costs like $7, like a cup of coffee a month, and you can join in there. And we even post a lot of these things during market hours, or we post more information there as far as what I see as important. And one of those things was volatility with the triple divergence for the daily scale confirming, and how it would overall like to pull back. It would like to pull back is overall what we were discussing over on Patreon. So hopefully you do give that a chance and see if it is helpful for your trading, because I believe weekly and monthly expected moves and daily expected moves are all good things that can help any strategy. And I hope that this video in some way helps you and at least gives you some good levels to pay attention to for tomorrow. And I'll leave you on the cues so you can see this last bit. As I say, look at those red lines for your daily expected moves: 557.02 to the upside, 547.66 to the downside. And I want to say thank you so much for clicking on this video. Thank you for liking, subscribing, doing all that good stuff. And I look forward to streaming with you in the morning. Peace out.